Seema Karanth, thank you so much for joining us at the Chennai Storytelling Festival 2022. Please tell us a little about yourself and your work, and please tell us a story.
Namaskar, my name is Seema Karanth and I hail from the beautiful city of Bangalore, which is in the southern part of India. And just like most of you here, I'm also a storyteller sharing stories with adults and children online and offline. And you can find some of my work on podcast and YouTube and other social media platforms under the title Stories with Seema. A couple of years ago, I came across this beautiful story that was waiting to be told, that in my mind was ready to be shared. But somehow the time was never right, the theme was never right, until Chennai Storytelling Festival happened with its theme of healing and growing and maturing. And I knew that this was just the right story to be shared in such a platform. Thank you, Dr. Eric Miller, for this wonderful opportunity. And I hope this story resonates with all of you as much as it did with me. So let's begin. Is the bindi on my forehead all right? Am I a little too overdressed? Oh my God, is it okay? Is the prince, is he arriving at any minute now? Oh, Dasi, oh, handmaids, I need your help. I need help for the flowers. Is there no one there? Huh. These maids, they're never there when you want them to be, aren't they? Huh. Is it nice? Is it perfect? Yes. What do you think? Do you think it's perfect? What do you think he will think about it? Yes. Long, long ago in the ancient city of Videha, a city known for its rich culture and heritage, a city famous for King Janaka, a city where Sita was born, there also lived an alluring courtesan named Pingala. With her red lips like freshly cut strawberries, beautiful, buxom, seductive, intoxicatingly beautiful, this woman, the mere sight of her had many a man, be it powerful men like kings or merchants, fight over her. Just the sight of her would trigger passion, evoke desire. And so, because of the stunning, intoxicating beauty, she was made the courtesan of the kingdom. Yes, to avoid any kinds of fights that would break over her, they made her the courtesan of the kingdom. She was no ordinary prostitute. She was no ordinary prostitute. She received royal patronage and was treated like none other in the kingdom of Videha. And such was her mastery over her skill, that she tended to each of her clients like a doctor does to his patients, with tenderness, with care, with finesse, with a skill that satisfied all their desires. And yet she remained a true professional, keeping herself completely detached from those dealings. Until the day she met a man, until the day she set her eyes on a handsome young prince, and something in her stirred and fluttered. It was as if her heart flew out of her bosom and merged with his. And to her joy, to her surprise even, to her utter delight, that young prince, he responded to her feelings, or so it seemed, and agreed to meet her. He said, he promised her that he would come to meet her. Her joy knowing no bounds, Pingala being Pingala, her exuberant self began to prepare from that very minute. And on that day when they were supposed to meet, she prepared herself with utmost care. She took a long scented bath. She donned herself in a crimson red sari that made her look like a princess, the sari in the finest of silk. She adorned herself with jewelry that made her look like a regal princess herself. For after all, was he not a prince used to jewelry, used to all these kinds of finery? And then she wove into her hair sweet-smelling white jasmine. Bedecked like a princess, She sat and waited and waited, waited for his loving embrace, waited to see him up close. Minutes passed and she kept checking the time. He was late. Surely he must have some reason. Anyway, that gives me a little time to check my makeup. Is everything all right? Oh, the perfume. I didn't apply any perfume. Oh, the scented fragrance. Oh, Dasi, can you come here, please? Can you just tell me? Oh, handmaids, can you tell me if I'm all right? She asked. And the handmaids, they couldn't understand. They couldn't understand why your mistress who was always so calm and serene and regal in her bearing, was so anxious, was so excited. My lady, you have not had any food the whole morning. Can I get you some breakfast? Can I at least get you some fruits? Asked her maid. No. I want to be perfect, for what if he comes? Just get me some betel leaves, will you? For when I eat it, it will keep my mouth red and fresh. Just get me those betel leaves. I'll nibble that. That's enough. Just go away. She shooed away her maid. A few minutes later, her maid came again and said, my lady, there's a merchant waiting for you. Can I send him in? He seeks your favor. Can I send him in? Pingala, so busy, so lost in her thoughts, immediately woke up and said, the prince, is it the prince? Is it the prince? No, my lady, it's a merchant. Ah, send him away. How many times do I have to tell you? I don't seek any merchants or anyone today. Just go away. I'm waiting for someone special. For you see, that day, on that day, and maybe forever, the only person that she wanted to see was the prince. Love, feelings of love and loyalty washed away all her desire, and all she wanted was to belong to someone. All she wanted was to belong to this prince for whom she had given her heart. Minutes passed, and the afternoon sun faded into dusk, and the prince had not come. Every few minutes, her anklets tinkling, her bangles chiming, she would rush to the gate and ask the guards, have you seen the prince? I hope you have not made a mistake. I hope you have not barred him from entry. No, my lady, we know who the prince is. Definitely, we'll allow him. Please calm down. For even the guards were puzzled at her strange behavior. Please go back. Go back to your quarters. We will intimate you. We'll keep word. We will, tell you when he comes. Please do not worry, they begged. True, I shouldn't be in the sun. My flowers will wilt, she said, and went back. And back inside, she stood behind the window, peeping behind the curtains, staring at that road, waiting, looking at each palanquin, each chariot, in great anticipation. But where was he? He hadn't come. And as the minutes passed into hours, the sun began to slowly mark its way out to the other part of the sky and fade into the horizon. Pingala, looking at the sunset, began to feel a little bit of her hopes fade as well. But then she said, no, I can't give up. Maybe there's some mistake. After all, he's a prince. He has demands on his work. He will be there. The love and weight in her heart said, no, he is going to come, that he is going to be there. And so she paced her corridors up and down. Twilight turned into darkness. And as the darkness turned into a thick night, stars began to twinkle in the sky. Across, and not only just the stars, there was a beautiful full moon. Crickets began to glitter, and from behind, somewhere far, she could hear a bird giving a long mating call. And as she heard it, Pingala felt the love and weight for her lover. She felt it, but where was he? Couldn't he have sent a word at least? Was it not possible to send a word from someone? Or had she got mistaken? Had she misinterpreted his feelings? Where was he? She asked herself again and again. Eventually, as the night progressed, and as there was no sign of the prince, she went through a gamut of emotions from longing to disappointment as her eyes grew tired and the flowers in her hair wilted away. And then, as the light of the early morning dawn emerged from the darkness, as Pingala sat staring from behind that curtain, from behind that window, staring at that horizon, she saw a small bird. She saw a small bird clutching onto a fish, trying to flap its wings and fly faster and faster. For you see, it was being chased by a group of hunter birds coming closer and closer. And this poor bird, this little bird with the burden of that fish, it kept flapping its wing, trying to fly higher and higher, until finally it knew that it had to give up. It gave up. It let go of that fish, and miraculously those hunter birds began to chase the fish, and this bird was now free, was now light, and it soared away. And that sight of the soaring bird triggered something in Pingala. A wave of great detachment washed away, dispelled all the darkness of her ignorance. And she thought to herself, oh, how foolish I have been. How foolish I have been that I went with these looks. How foolish I have been that I sought pleasure from a man who was himself pitiable. How foolish I have been that I thought that fleeting pleasure was enough to satisfy whatever I was that I was hankering after. At that minute, a clear intelligence set in her mind. With a clear intelligence, she thought to herself, the source of all happiness, the divine resides within me. And I, like a foolish woman, tortured my own soul. I sold my body to greedy men who were themselves objects of pity. I sought to seek happiness from others while I didn't know how to keep myself happy. And as she thought, that realization came to her that she was already complete. I don't need a man to fulfill me. I don't need a man. I don't need these jewels to make me feel complete. All I needed, the one person whom I needed to love, the one person for whom I should not have to wait day and night, that one person who wouldn't abandon me, come what may, was already within me, and I did not realize that. All I had to do was establish a strong connection with that divinity, with that center of my being. And how foolish I was. She kept repeating and repeating. Pingala found light in darkness. And she realized that behind that darkness, hidden somewhere deep within her, was light, waiting to be found, a light within. With this serene realization, experiencing great detachment and bliss, vairagya and ananda, she walked back from that window. Sat on her bed, removed her jewelry. She didn't need this anymore. She was at peace. She sat on that bed and went to sleep happily, peacefully. Thank you for listening. This is an adaptation from a beautiful story from the Srimad Bhagavata, or the Bhagavata as it is called, which is a revered text of the Hindus that advocates the path of Bhakti Yoga, or the path of devotion. I have found various versions of this story and made it an adaptation of sorts, taking into consideration the various versions. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you.
Anybody, any thoughts? Apurva.
Seema, how you brought the emotion of Vairagya and Ananda at the same time. It was very beautiful. It was very heart-touching. And I felt like watching you, I felt as if I was falling in love with myself and Pingala too. Thank you for bringing her in you, through you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maura?
Yeah, the first thought when when you started the story, I said, "Oh shit, I've just gotten up and haven't even combed my hair." And I thought, oh no, that's going to be another love drama. I can't live without you and all that stuff. And I loved the way it ended, and it makes so much sense, you know. The one person, we live together 24 hours a day, that's us. So to be reminded, we'd better treat ourselves well and find what is in ourselves than looking all around. So I really love that story, and thank you very much for it.
Thank you.
Hello, Marina here. Thank you for a lovely performance and beautiful scenario around you. I like that very much. And I think the story, I mean, this is a very important story to tell today. I mean, not only in India, where there's very much of the outfit and how to be in this, but in the world, the individualism and the ways young people today are looking for someone, but they are looking at Tinder and they are always how to look beautiful, how to be perfect, how to be this and this and this. And so many young people, they struggle with this, really. So it's an important story to tell. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the selfie generation, which seeks validation every moment, that was my thought too. And I felt it was not just for women. I think we always seek happiness from outside. We want our partners to validate us, to make us feel complete. And that wouldn't be possible unless we ourselves are happy from within. So that was what I was trying to share in this story.
Yeah, and also, as you said, for women, this is also for men today. They
Yes.
have also to be peacocked
Yes. Yes.
very
Yes.
much. So, yes.
Anybody else before we move on? Okay, Seema, thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.